Yeah, I appreciate the time. And Michael, can you hear me perfectly clear right now?
I do. You're as good as it
Perfect.
gets. And if I have any issues, I will put them in the chat just to raise your awareness of them.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And yeah, I definitely want to reiterate what Michael just said is I do appreciate everybody's time. I know that our days have looked a little bit different here in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And we're trying to balance staying at home and family members going in and out and work and all the stress that comes with it. So I do appreciate everyone taking their time today to learn as much as I possibly can. The video is not working right now because I have the screens that this is not video, but are we seeing the PowerPoint on there? That's what we should be seeing right now. Saw in the chat box, someone was saying. Yeah, okay, perfect. So what we wanted to go over today is Honeywell Home Smart Thermostats. And what I like to do is talk about a little bit about the market segmentation first, and then we're going to go high level view of how do we attack that market the best. I think it starts a little bit better because this is a new initiative through ADI. And first, so I want to kind of talk about, why do we think this is valuable and where is the revenue and how does this open up new revenue streams for our customers? And so that's what I wanted to start with first. And we all are aware, so Honeywell Home, just like what Michael said, is the brand behind water solutions, connected solutions, awareness solutions, which is the security stuff, which is what you probably are most familiar with. We have ductless controllers, heating and cooling solutions, and we have a whole bunch of learning programs. So this is everything that's under the Honeywell Home umbrella. And so what we're focusing on today is really connected solutions and heating and cooling solutions together. And before we go too far into that, I like to break down this market segmentation a little bit more of who we're actually talking to. And so I think McKinsey and Company did a really nice job at breaking down market segmentation by who our end users are. And so for an end user, specifically in the residential space, like commercial space is going to be a little bit different, but if we're looking in the residential space, we basically break it down in these 5 different categories of traditionalists all the way to lean forward. It's kind of a big graph, but what I want you guys to take out of this is the 3 middle sections. If you look at these 3 middle sections, they represent about 62% of that market space. And the reason why I want to focus on these is that these 3 segments are really driven by having a service provider provide solutions for them when it comes to smart home technologies and their buying behavior. They're also going to be a little bit more behind or a little bit more at pace with tech adoption. And if we're looking at a bell curve, that's really kind of right about where we are today. Okay, so we're not at the early stages. We're kind of in that middle, kind of like the middle stages of that bell curve where we're starting to really increase this because the majority of the market is really going to start adopting to these products. What I do like to notice just for a second is one of the sections is the traditionalist, right? So my father is kind of in this person because he doesn't want to have anyone do it for them. So he's a big box store kind of guy. However, with COVID and with everything that's going on, I think some of those customers may be looking for different avenues to purchase these products, which could open up even more customers going forward. And then the lean forward guys are going to be the people that are on top of technology and they're buying direct from manufacturers. So that's a lot of the people that are doing Kickstarter campaigns and buying through products that way. And so it's not really our customer because they're going to be more focused on what's brand new and they want to be the testers and they want to be the ones that are working out the bugs and things like that. So I just like to say, this is kind of where the market is. And so we want to break down these customers just a little bit more before we go. So I'd like to start with the urban dwellers. And so this customer is really in that $40,000 a year average income, 25 to 44 years old. They're more in apartment complexes as well. And what's most important to them is security, keeping their utilities at check, and wellness. And so their top devices they're looking for in the smart home space is connected thermostat, energy tracking, connected smoke detectors. Okay, so what I want everyone to realize is they're looking for security solutions. They're looking for ways to reduce their utility usage, and they want to make sure that their family's healthy and safe and comfortable. The one thing I want everyone to focus on is the key barriers. They're skeptical that products will work well, high concerns over price, deterred by current suite of available products. Okay. And when I talk about these products, what's important is that we want to create solutions that our pros can be a solution-based selling. I want to make sure that we're solution-based selling. If we're solution-based selling, we have a higher probability of closing sales. Okay, so as a pro, when we can overcome the barrier of skeptical that products will work well, the pro can offer a suite of products that makes it easy for them to pick what's important for their homes while giving them the assurance that everything's going to work smoothly and perfect, right? They can't get that in a big box store, and they can't get that from multiple people coming in their house and offering products. So when our customers are inside inside the homes of our end users, we want to make sure they're offering the entire solution. That's what I really want to convey here. And then if we go to the next one, this is the family first. So I kind of fall in this category. I have a 3-year-old, and then I have a 1.5-year-old. Okay, what's important to them, or what's important to me, is I want to make sure my family is secure. I want to make sure that my family's, what the air they're breathing and everything around them is healthy, and I want to make sure my family is healthy as fast as possible. And more so than ever right now is entertainment, because we're sitting in our houses more than we ever have. And the key barriers, right, is that most concerned that devices will be difficult to install. And what that means is, like, as a parent of 2 young kids and a brand new puppy that we got during this COVID situation, I do not want to spend time installing something that's going to take a significant amount of time doing, because I just don't have the time, nor do I have the patience. For example, I tried to put together some deck chairs like a week or so ago, and I had kids crawling all over me and missing screws. I just don't want to deal with it. So I want someone to provide a solution that's easy to use and saves me money, and make sure my family's comfortable and secure. And so that's what I want you to keep in focus with those customers. And then we go to affluent nesters. So as you get older, your pants get wider, you get a little bit older, and your kids move out. We have these affluent nesters that are kind of now the first empty nesters in the home. Security systems is going to be most important. They want to still making sure they're healthy. This is why I think it's so important to go through the ADI channel. We're offering all these solutions with access control and security and all this stuff. This is the number one thing all of these people are looking for. But on the back end, they're also looking for solutions that are keeping them as comfortable as possible and making sure that they're safe and healthy. And so their key barriers are lack of recognition of products, believe that technology is still developing, and concerned over privacy and hacking. The only person that can overcome these is a professional partner. Right? So what's important for them is to make sure that pro will tell them that this technology is safe. They're going to make sure that their privacy is as secure as possible. And then they can understand that the lack of recognition is that they can overcome that because those affluent nesters put value in that pro, not necessarily the product. So we can really overcome these objections to solve problems for that homeowner. A couple other things I will look at is we took this data about a year ago in regards to connected thermostats, and 39% of people is what they're looking for their next purchase inside their home. Again, whole home securities, indoor security cameras, smoke and CO detectors, outdoor security cameras. You guys are all offering this through ADI locations today. And so to be able to really enhance your offering with connected thermostats is really something that would be it makes sense for the next step. Okay, and some branches are already doing this, and some of them, it's like we just got to figure out, what do we have as an offering? There's a lot of different things out there. And so the top 5 reasons why homeowners are buying smart thermostats is set the temperature from anywhere, right? That's the most convenient thing. Control the temperature with your voice, so we're using more things of like Alexa and Google Home or Amazon Siri or Apple Siri, adjust temperature automatically. So when I'm leaving the house or I'm coming home, I want to make sure that I'm not wasting energy. I also want to make sure I'm comfortable when I'm home. If you guys didn't know, even if we sell programmable thermostats, 70% of them are on permanent hold, meaning that they do not adjust temperature. So we are throwing heat and we're throwing cooling out the window when no one's actually in the space. So we can significantly increase this energy savings, which I'll show you on the next slide. And the fifth reason is that energy savings. So this was a study that we did a couple months ago. It was an independent study. And on average in 2019, a homeowner can save $42 a month on a properly, I'll get a little bit closer here to the microphone. So 2019 is $42 a month in savings in energy by having a properly programmed thermostat, which is a lot of money, especially now we're going into some stages that people are, are furloughed or, being let go and trying to figure out how do we save as much money as possible. This is a great solution for them. The other thing that I thought was really cool was that we know that when these thermostats are packaged within some type of install package, the close rate is around 30 to 50%. So I'm stopped there just for a second because I wanted that to set in. Because if we have a whole bunch of pro partners, whether it be custom AV guys, security dealers, kind of whoever is coming in through that door, they definitely have maybe 2 months, maybe longer of drastically reduced revenue. So if we can offer something that is an add-on sale that has a 30 to 50% close rate when we're packaging it together, this could be a really big help for a lot of those small business owners that are in a pinch. And so that's something that I think is really valuable to share with your customers as much as possible. And so I just kind of wanted to set the stage before I thought it was appropriate rather than just talk about product. I really wanted to understand really why are we doing this, and we have really high hopes. We've had great success already. There's a lot of different avenues in there that we're trying to open up. Some of it right now is new construction kind of focus because that stuff is still going on. So unfortunately, like the residential stuff's a little bit slower right now. But this is definitely something that is of value to the customers that are walking in the doors to your guys' stores. And so now we want to go into kind of the thermostat offering. Now, these are all of the thermostats that you guys have access to. So this whole section right here is going to be your non-connected section. And so we're not really focused on that right now because that's not really the hurdles that we want to overcome. The other section here is going to be your connected offering. Now, we broke this up into a couple different areas. Everything in the gray here right now is what I want to focus on today. The stuff in the red is our red link technology that's going to be kind of more geared towards like higher end custom home HVAC systems. We don't really want to jump right into the deep end. We want to keep this as simple as possible right out the gate. And so these solutions are going to be your basic conventional one heat, one cool air conditioning systems inside your homes. That's going to be as pretty basic, where that's about 80% of the market share as it is today. So what I wanted to go over today is really this T6 Smart and then the new T10 thermostat. I think those two things would be the biggest offering that you guys could provide as a solution. And so first, starting with T6 Pro Smart. So this is our T6 Pro Smart. And so what we did is that we had about 28 different SKUs in regards to this level and down. And what we did is we just simplified our product line. So about 3 years ago, we added the T-Series thermostat line. And on these ones, we have two different SKUs for the T6 Smart, which I'll explain to you in just the next slide. But what this product is that it replaces all of the old Wi-Fi 6000 models if you were already purchasing those. But this makes it a lot sleeker, a lot smaller, a lot thinner design. The old one was a big green screen. It looked really old. It had some big clunky buttons. So we went to a full touch screen, easy to use, easy on the eyes solution while keeping a really competitive price. And so this is really an entry-level Wi-Fi thermostat. It's really built on the connected home. So it has the Apple chip in it to be able to work with Apple HomeKit. It works with Amazon Alexa. It works with Google Home. So whatever the solution that the homeowner or the end user wants, we want to be able to offer them anything in that space. It also, we're supporting products through all of our different channels to make sure that they have whatever channel that they want to purchase its product through, they're able to do that, okay? And so this product comes into two different part numbers. It's a TH6320 and a TH6220. Essentially, they're going to be really similar. The one thing I will say is this TH6320 is going to what we call a capacitive touch on the actual thermostat, meaning it's going to react much more like your thermostat. I mean your cell phone. There's a piece of glass that goes over it. It reacts really well. It's a little bit easier to push the buttons. The TH6220 is going to be a little bit less expensive, about 25% cost difference, but it's going to be kind of a plastic screen that you actually have to push in. Okay, so it's a little bit different in the regards of just the end user, the delightful experience that they can see on that side. It's a small difference, and some people may or may not like it, but I mean, the glass screen is just a little bit more of a premium feel. In regards to control, it does have ventilation control inside the 6320. So what that means is that we can control some type of fresh air intake coming into the house. But for the opportunities that we're seeing, we're not seeing too much of this. So really the biggest difference is the screen. And we're looking at a conventional heat system, right? So we just want to look at the basic stuff, and that's going to be the exact same for both SKUs, okay? And so when you are operating this thermostat, and so what we have done in the past Wi-Fi thermostats is you used to have a bridge on your phone to be able to set up this device. And so what we did with this one is that you're able to set this up directly on a screen, not needing to have some type of cell phone in your hand to be able to set this up. So what you do is you just basically, when you first wire it in, it'll ask you to start setup, and you just click yes or no, and then you're going to be in the setup, and it's going to be a nice, easy setup for you. If there is one that's already existing there, the only thing you have to do is just hold that menu screen for 5 seconds, and up pops that same screen that starts as start setup, and then you can restart that setup from there. So if there was one that was already used, you can have that option. When you are installing it, essentially for whoever's installing it would basically look like this. They have what is called an ISU, so an installer setup option essentially. And so it goes through a number, and then you have the install manual and tells you how to set that up. I will tell you that 80% of the time, you'll just be able to do the factory pre-programmed setup inside that thermostat for the applications that we're using, because we're just going to be a basic one heat, one cool application. But this will be able to walk you through nice and easy. I wanted to show you this of what it looks like, because T10 is really the biggest difference of why I think the T10 is a great solution for our installers, especially if they're not super comfortable with HVAC installs. I think that's going to be the biggest difference between those two for you guys. And then once it's set up, this is essentially what that end user would see inside the home. Okay, so a really clean setup. You wouldn't see the mode, heat, fan, and auto all the time. So once you didn't touch that, it would go away. But you would basically see the temperature in the room. This would be the set point that you're trying to reach. It would have the time on it. It would have the Wi-Fi setting. It'll tell you kind of where it's at for types of schedule, and you'd have your mode, menu, and fan. This little icon right here is going to be your notification. So if something's wrong with the system, this is where you click it, and then it'll bring up the warning signal saying, hey, this is what's going on. It will say, hey, we're not, right now, this would say we're not connected to the Wi-Fi network, okay, on this thermostat. It would also tell you kind of what mode it's in, like you said, so you can switch this off. And then you will also be able to do fan on, off, or auto. This is going to be important with the COVID situation right now because and I could have just done this through here. So this right here, this fan, the COVID situation is if we have any type of air treatment inside the HVAC system, we're going to want to make sure that that fan is on all the time, or at least on auto to circulate the air, because we're not able to clean the air unless the fan is moving air throughout the home. Okay, so this is not all thermostats have an auto. So what an auto would do is basically say, I want to make sure that I'm at least moving my air 33% of the time to make sure air is moving in the house. That's going to do two things. It's going to do any type of filtration system that you have in your house, as well as it's going to be making sure that that homeowner is as comfortable as possible. And so if we go back to who we're talking to on wellness and comfort and being in the house, that option is something that we want to talk about, and just making sure that they're just moving the air throughout the house as much as possible. So on accessories that this comes with, inside there is a small mud plate. There is a larger mud plate that you can order and you can have on there. You have wired remote sensors. So if you wanted to relocate the sensing point, or if you wanted to average multiple spaces, you could have a wired sensor, and that's what this guy is right here. And then you could also have a wired remote outdoor temperature sensor. This would be more for like heat pump applications. And then we have this C-wire adapter, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay. Moving on to T10. So T10 is something that we're going to offer. I just set this part up number for everybody. I think we did it like 2 days ago. So it should be active in the ADI system, but this is brand new. This is a brand new product for all of us. And so what's a little bit about different is this is now when we're getting into our premium offering, right? So I think that if we're doing custom AV guys and we're doing some of those apartment works, I think this is a better offering because this is going to be a little bit more of a premium look. And it has a couple different things. So this part number right here is going to be the thermostat, and then it's going to have this wireless indoor sensor. And I'll explain why we use this wireless indoor sensor for this thermostat, and this is what really makes this thing different. It has a UWP mounting system, which is essentially the back plate of this thermostat, and that's on all T-Series thermostat. And then we have the J-box adapter and the covered plate. So if we're doing new construction, if we're doing that, it has a J-box adapter right in it, and it has the covered plate that you can attach it to. There is also a SKU that only is just the thermostat without this sensor. And then we can buy accessories that has this sensor, and it comes in packs of 2. Okay, so you can buy this one kit, and then it'll have 2 sensors in that box independently boxed inside that. So similar on a functionality standpoint, it's going to be pretty similar to that T6 Wi-Fi that we talked to. The one thing that's going to be different on a functionality standpoint is that now I can read humidity. So if I have a home, and there's some areas in the country that really has a lot of need for humidification in the house, and there's some areas that need a lot of dehumidification, or they have ventilation, and humidity is something that homeowner is worrying about. Well, this thermostat can control that humidity in that space with the right equipment. So that's going to be your biggest difference in regards to functionality of the thermostat. This is what we call the UWP mounting system. So this little guy right here is a big difference in our T-Series. And what this allows you to do is there's a ton, we sell millions of these thermostats throughout the country. And if this was a basic, like a heat-only stat or a one heat, one cool, non-connected, you would be able to take that non-connected and then be able to pop this T10 thermostat on there. And in theory, without having to rewire anything, you would just be able to pop it on and not have to mess with anything. There is one caveat to that, which I'll talk about in a second. But for the most part, what this gives us an opportunity for is that we can train our customers to essentially say, hey, if you're looking at T-Series thermostats on the wall, this is what they look like. If they already have that, you could pop this off and pop a new one on, upgrade them to a connected solution, and not add any time of labor while you're inside that home, okay? And so that's a really cool opportunity that we have with this. So we add, for example, on residential new construction, overhead cost is obviously extremely important. So what this is it allows them to be able to offer an inexpensive thermostat and then later on be able to upgrade it without having to do too much labor. There is an additional cover plate. This is what the cover plate inside looks like. So it's a little bit bigger on that one to cover it. But it basically just snaps onto this junction box adapter that we have inside that box. Okay, so the junction box adapter goes into it. We snap on that UWP mounting system, and then the cover plate goes right over it. This thermostat does need to have 24 volts constant, so I need to have it in R and C. And so one of the concerns that I hear often through ADI locations is like, well, they don't want to have to rewire anything, and if they only have 4 wires, they don't know what to do. And so the one thing that if you don't remember anything from this presentation, I want you to remember this. This is what we call a C-wire adapter. Our guys that are coming in our spaces really do know low voltage wiring. And so we got to be able to show them this, because all we do here now is with this is we put this little adapter inside that furnace and we go R to R, Y to Y, G to G, C to C, W to W. And then on the outside, we take that 4 wires that are existing and then we just paint by number. We go R to R, K to K, C to C, W to W. And what this does is the K terminal splits that Y and your G. So all we need to know is that we can use an existing 4 wires, and with very limited, this takes 5 to 10 minutes, we can turn that 4-wire application into a 5-wire application, and then now all my Wi-Fi thermostats do not need batteries. There is a big disadvantage to have power stealing thermostats. There are some thermostats out there that use power stealing, and what that means is they don't necessarily need a C wire. And what's happening is it's stealing power and it's storing that power inside some type of battery. So what this is what we can do is with this application is we can, what happens with that application is there's a limit to that battery. So if I have an extremely long call for heat or extremely long call for cooling, that battery only has so much power, and then we lose connection. And the one thing that a thermostat needs to do is call for heating or call for cooling when it's needed. So if we don't have that capacitor that runs out of juice, and that's usually in the worst time. So if we have too long of a call for heat, that means it's freezing cold outside. The last thing you want to have happen is to not be able to turn your furnace on. Okay, so this is why a Pro is really the best solution for our homeowners. And this is on all of our Wi-Fi thermostats. I saw that I was Vision Pro. Yeah, I noticed that it says Vision Pro on there. This K terminal is on all Honeywell Home Wi-Fi thermostats, and this wireless adapter works on all of our Wi-Fi thermostats out there, so it doesn't matter which one you're using. Okay, so it's the exact same process. The other thing that T10 has is this is the product that has gesture control built into it. So this is going to react just like your smartphone. So really quick, I just saw a question about T6 Z-Wave. So T6 Z-Wave can be hardwired or battery operated. So you don't need this. You wouldn't need this wire adapter. So you could do either or because it has a Z-Wave chip in it. So the only reason we need RC for Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi chips take up too much power, and so we just can't do it effectively using power stealing. Z-Wave is a really low power solution, so we could either do hardwired, but if they don't have hardwired, they would just use the batteries and then we'd be good to go. But this wouldn't be for Z-Wave thermostats. But this is a gesture control, so it's going to have a way more elegant feel for the homeowner. It's going to feel just like your smartphone where you can swipe and scroll through things. It kind of gives you the same option, tells you what the temperature temperature is inside the house, what the set point is. You can move it up and down, and then now it's going to tell you your priority in your room. And I'll explain what that means, but this is really the cool differentiator with this product. For the installer, what I really like about this is the entire install manual is built into this thermostat. So if you look right here, there's this little eye icon right here. So if you would never get to like this external fossil fuel kit for the applications we're doing. But let's say if you're in this, you can basically hit this little eye icon and you could scroll through the entire install manual, which would tell you what that setting is and how to effectively set it. So if we're selling it to customers that aren't 100% comfortable with the HVAC world, this is why I really love this thermostat, is because what's happening is that I can actually read through the install manual right from there, so they don't have to worry about trying to find that install manual, or if they were going to an existing product, they could access all this stuff. And it makes it for a lot more simple install experience. This also simplifies our Wi-Fi registration. And so I've done this long enough. I've been doing this for 9 years, mostly on the HVAC side specifically. But one of the things that we have with Wi-Fi T6 and some of the less expensive products is that you need a phone to bridge that device to connect it to the Wi-Fi router. This one, I basically just say, get connected, hit that button. The Wi-Fi networks will show up. I click that Wi-Fi network. I type in the password and boom, I'm connected. I don't need another device to actually get this thing connected on Wi-Fi, which makes it a lot more simple for that installer to actually install it. The other things that you can do is you have some adjustments in regard to the screen. So some of these is like, I bring this up because this is a big concern that we actually hear more so than you would ever think. Some of these thermostats are inside rooms, like bedrooms, and they have this big black light and they don't want to have that. What you can do with this one is you can actually program it to turn the backlight all the way off if you wanted to during the sleeping time, or you could dim it and you could have it, use it as a night light or kind of whatever you want, but you'd have full control of how you would want that inside that house. You'd also start adding colors into this. So when it's in cooling mode, so this is what it looks like when no one's touching it. It's a really simple, elegant design. And so what it's going to show is the numbers are going to be in blue, letting you know that the system's in cooling mode. If it actually is having a call for cooling, the whole screen will turn blue and the numbers will turn right, letting the homeowner know that it's actually cooling the house currently to get up to set point or get down to set point. And the vice versa, it would do the exact same thing for heat mode, right? So it would be this orange color for the heat mode to let you know that it's either heating or if it's in heat mode for that home. One thing I did miss here in a second is that our Wi-Fi T6 is only a single band client, so it only works on 2.4 networks. T10 works on both. So some of those applications that may matter, but again, the T10 works on all applications, whether or not you're using 5G Wi-Fi or using 2.4. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can start adding dealer information to the thermostat. So this is more if you do have an HVAC contractor that security contractor is linking up with, they can put that HVAC contractor in there. You could tell the homeowners, like, hey, we'll install this for you. Well, we've partnered up with Dan's Plumbing and Heating. We'll put their contact information in there. If there's anything that's going on with your system, it'll pop up and it'll give you the contact information to call that heating and cooling professional. Because we definitely understand that they don't want to be fielding those calls. So this is a little add-on for some of our security dealers that we're using it for. So to get in the nitty-gritty of what makes this thermostat so cool is that this thermostat comes with wireless indoor sensors, okay? And so what these do, and I'll kind of explain an example, I think that's the best way of explaining this product. But we're using RedLink technology in this, which is great. You guys are all probably familiar with RedLink technology, but it's an awesome wireless signal that's proprietary to Honeywell Home products. And so that's going to give you tons of range to put these wireless indoor sensors inside that home and be able to put them on any part of the inside that home. We can have, this sensors read temperature, humidity, and now we're adding motion to it as well, and I'll explain why that's important. And we can add about up to 20 sensors into this thermostat all at one time. And it just is 2 AAA batteries that come with it. And those batteries last like 3 years inside that space. So what each one of these you can name kind of whatever you want inside that space. And so like how this would work, I think the best way of explaining this is through an example. And I think my house is probably the perfect example. Okay, so I moved into my house. My house was built in the early 90s, and it was a finished basement that they boxed in our equipment room completely. We have 2 young kids, like I said, a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And we have big temperature swings from upstairs to downstairs. And what's so great about this is the best thing about this is, or what's most important to me is sleep for my kids. If my kids are sleeping, I don't have to be doing anything, and I can maybe get a cup of coffee in before they wake up. Okay, so temperature is one of the easiest things that will wake up a small child. All right, so if a heating system comes on too early, or if they're not comfortable, that's what's going to be disrupting their sleep. So with this product, what I can do is I can put a sensor inside their bedroom, and at a specific time of day, what I can do is prioritize their rooms, even though my wife and I may be downstairs watching some TV. So it may overheat and overcool some of the spaces that my wife and I are in, but my wife and I do not care. We can throw a blanket on, we can deal with that part, but we know for a fact that our kids are comfortable and that they're going to sleep a lot better than if they were too hot or too cold. And then when we go upstairs, the one thing that we really want is to make sure we're comfortable. I like it nice and cold when I'm sleeping, so I can automatically adjust that temperature sensor to only be in our bedroom to make sure that we're comfortable, our whole family's comfortable while they're sleeping. Then in the day, it would automatically change to be able to be on the main floor, making sure that while people are awake, they're comfortable. And how that works is that we have 2 different options. We can schedule a selected room. So I could say at night at 7 or 8 p.m., I want Elliot's room and Cora's room to be 70 degrees or whatever temperature that I want. I also have an option to do active rooms because remember we talked about that motion sensor. And so active rooms means that it uses that motion sensor. So for example, my basement, I basically use my basement for any type of sporting event. Well, guess what? There's no sporting events on right now, so I don't need to be averaging that basement temperature. However, there is UFC on Saturday. So if I go downstairs and watch UFC, it will recognize that I'm in my basement, and it will throw my basement on the average, making sure that I'm comfortable in the basement. So it's going to automatically adjust where my average temperature sensors are actually going to be used. And how a homeowner would just program this, they would basically say, schedule a time of day that you want to set the temperature to. You would set the cooling temperature, you set the heating temperature, you would set the wake fan, and then what you would do is then you would select if you want to select multiple sensors or if you want to do active rooms. And at that point, the thermostat would take care of your comfort inside your home the way that you want it, which is a really cool thing. Also, it adds smart home capacity to it. So if I'm having people over, hopefully someday soon, I can be able to say, Alexa, set my kitchen temperature to 70 degrees. And what's going to do is it's going to prioritize my kitchen sensor, and it's going to ignore the rest of my house, okay? Because everyone's hanging out in the kitchen, we're cooking food, having some drinks, maybe sitting down. That's where we sit down to have drinks and bread together. And so what this is I can prioritize that through voice control and have a completely different interaction with my home and how I handle comfort inside that space. So it's a really cool smart home space as well. The last thing was for our security contractors, just to let you guys know how this works. So we have a different offering. These are all of the products that are on our Honeywell Home app. So we have the Lyric Round, T5, T6 Smart, T9, and T10. And then we have all of these products, so Wi-Fi 9000, Vision Pro 8000, the Focus Pros, and the Prestige. are on what we call Total Connect Comfort. So if a homeowner does have a Honeywell security system, just to let you guys know, to get this little automation tab, they got to be signed up for the smart home package in their security system. But then all they do is when they go to automation, they select Honeywell Home, if it is one of these stats. If they select Total Connect Comfort, which is this next one here, that would be one of these stats. And all they have to do is log in. Once they log in, they'll select the thermostats that they want to add. They click save, and now those thermostats show up on their security panel. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys exactly how that would integrate into our security systems, so that you know we sell millions of these out there in the market, so there is a lot of value into bringing these into the Total Connect to our TC2 environment as well. So that is, if there's any other questions, I think we answered some of them on the call already. But if there's any other questions, we can take that. Otherwise, AJ has a couple of words that we want to end on as well.
AJ hasn't shown up for today's meeting. So what I'd like to do, Paul, is maybe if you have a map of North America where your people are, if they're the same people that are installing integrators already, know that's great. If they're not, it would be good for them to see how they can get somewhat local support. And while we're waiting, if anybody has any questions, please type them into the Q&A box.
So what I can do, Michael, is what I'm going to send you, because we're going to build a map. What I can send you is this, and this is going to have by state what rep is there. There are some manufacturing reps that we have to clean up. We have two different people. We have what is called a CDS and an RDR. Both work in the market, but just their focus is a little bit different. So CDSs are focused mostly on their dealers. RDRs are more focused on wholesalers or HVAC wholesalers. I'll send this list, and then that's all everybody's local support. I'll send that to you.
Perfect. I'll push it out after today's call. Okay.
Yeah, and then one question is on can the T10 be bought at ADI? Yes. So as a couple of days ago, it wasn't set up in the system. We got that set up in the system. We're going to start getting an inventory, but you can purchase it today. We have. So that will be available for you guys, and you guys can bring that in.
Does anybody else have another question?
So T10, does it work with Siri as well as Amazon and Google? T6 Wi-Fi has full integration into Apple HomeKit today because it has the Apple chip. Apple is kind of changing their HomeKit to be able to not have to necessarily need that chip in it. They need to do that upgrade. So eventually T10 will work in Apple Siri once they upgrade that. But as it is right now, it does not. But it only works on Alexa or Google. If you need a HomeKit device, you would use Wi-Fi T6 or T6 Smart.
Thank you for that answer, Paul. If there's any other questions, please put your hand up in the air and we'll attempt to answer them. Joe, your question, we have to check every week to see what the webinars are weekly. Yes, that is correct. You'll see them on ADI Global Distribution .us or .ca and then /webinars. And yes, we're running them through the month of June. As the country slowly reopens, there's plenty of people that are still going to be at home. So we hope that we're providing valuable information to you. I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Ricardo. Ricardo wanted you to know that you gave an excellent presentation, Paul.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate the time. If you guys ever need anything, so I hold national responsibilities for all the ADIs. So if you're not getting support locally or if you need me to help out on anything, I can. I don't know when I'll be able to travel, so local support might be the best thing right now, but I'm always here to help everybody